given the history that Dustin Poirier has had with Khabib Nurmagomedov, a lot of people legitimately already thought these two fought. But no, this is the second coming, and Dustin has the opportunity to right the wrongs. That was his last title opportunity. My question is, let's give the ground rules first, right? Odds, these are opening. Minus 400 opening odd for Islam Makhachev, plus 280 was the comeback right there at open. Did you agree with those odds to start off?
I did, Derek. I mean, it's hard to bet against Islam. I mean, it makes sense. Minus 400. There's probably a lot of money going. It's weird to look at Dustin the Diamond Poirier, man, as a plus 280 favorite. Or, I mean, excuse me, plus 280 underdog right there. It seems weird, but I can see where this math makes sense coming from the betting eyes.
100%. So when we're actually kind of breaking down what this fight is going to play out, you have, and I caught a little bit of the highlights of the of the presser right before recording this. But listen, you got to do it in Dustin, who's like, hey, I want to box you up. I'm going to put you to sleep. You're going to be diving from my legs. So good luck, right? But then you got Makhachev on the other hand, which I feel very confident. I imagine you too well when you look at the hit list that Islam Makhachev's record is. If he gets this fight to the mat, AJ, does this fight, first off, if he gets this fight to the mat, can Dustin get up?
Can Dustin get up? I don't think so, Derek, unfortunately.
Let's take a couple of tales from that Benoit Saint-Denis fight where everyone was super impressed, right? I think we both bet on Poirier, if I'm not mistaken, but either way, that's besides the point. The point is, I know that I went for Poirier. I thought he can get it done, and I was not confident during that fight until he got it done. Are we going to see that same version where when Benoit Saint-Denis forced the action, he got the takedown easy? I just feel like if he gives up the takedown to Islam Makhachev very easily, all the rest of this assessment goes out the window. So what are your thoughts?
100%, Derek. I couldn't agree with you more. Dustin needs to keep this fight clean, needs to keep this fight standing, and needs to frustrate Islam as he's going to be trying to get those takedowns. I think I'm with you, man. If Islam is able to get this fight to the ground, he is going to keep it there, and it might even be a repeat of the cousin Khabib, man. Might get a submission right here. I'm not calling for it. Dustin is talented enough to avoid those kind of things. But, man, Islam, until we've seen him falter, until we've seen him make those moves where he has a chink in the armor, it's hard to say he's not going to just control this fight on the ground.
Well, let's talk about before he gets the fight to the ground, because every fight does start standing. Dustin Poirier, southpaw. Scary, scary proposition here for Islam Makhachev. If I'm not mistaken, the man who originally knocked him out, I'm even forgetting the name, that's because it's that many fights ago. I do believe that may have been a southpaw that he was fighting. You have Conor McGregor chiming in saying, hey, listen, Dustin Poirier, that check left hook, that's going to land all day. Makhachev's going to get dropped. You have a salty Conor McGregor in the rivalry and all that. And then you have what we have to break through here as actual people who dive into this, a hardcore, if you will, right? You have to cut through the noise, the narrative that the UFC does such a great job putting in there. And that is the moment that Dustin Poirier, the accumulation of all of its efforts, capping off his career and having the storybook moment. AJ, we know one thing's true here. Not many storybook moments that happen in the UFC. So minus 125 submission prop for Islam Makhachev, who, by the way, minus 600 favorite currently on the betting line right now. Is there any value in that bet right there, man? If you're going to look at methods of outcome and you like the submission, I don't think that is a price worth paying right there. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, Derek. I don't think it's worth it. I can see why they're thinking minus 125, right? Khabib got him by the submission. Dustin, if he needs to keep this fight on the feet, there's a lot of ways in which it is, but it doesn't make me comfortable seeing that because of how skilled Dustin is. I think this fight could end in a multitude of ways with how different Islam's going to try to bring this fight. Obviously, he's going to try to get this fight to the ground, but I think it's going to take a little more effort than just mauling and smashing through.
2.5 rounds, over and under, or over or under?
Over.
You're taking the over? Okay. Right now, the over is priced at plus 135 for the over. The odds makers do not think that this one is going to go far. Poirier said it himself. This one is ending in a finish right here. So are you confident in the over 2.5 bet plus 135?
Plus 135. Oh, man. I'm actually still comfortable, Derek. I know it sounds crazy going against everybody, but when people are talking big like that, they're looking to finish. Usually it is a lot of bravado, but I mean, if we come out and we see gas pedal from the jump, man, I'll feel, eating crow on Monday.
All right. Well, Dustin Poirier, this is the important part that we definitely have to know, man. 2 of his last 3 losses in his last, or 2 Of the 3 losses in his last 10 fights have come by submission. The other one was that knockout, that Justin Gaethje knockout right there. So we know that he's susceptible to the submission, but that almost feels just as much of a narrative and of a storyline as Poirier with the accumulation of the moment right there. So given that we've seen Islam be dominant over Alexander Volkanovski in the rematch, we saw him beat Charles Oliveira, Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, the whole entire hit list right here. Let me ask you, just like away from a betting perspective, what does this win do for Islam Makhachev right here?
Nothing, Derek. I mean, it solidifies you that you can beat the one of the greatest in the game, right? The Diamond, you can actually get one over on the top of the upper echelon of fighters. But as far as career advancement, as far as like notoriety, it kind of just puts you in Khabib's shadow even more.
Yeah, it's like a good name to have, but at the end of the day, you're beating the guy who's notoriously known as being like the number 2 guy in the division, which is like cool, right? Because that's essentially, I was going to say Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, but Alexander Volkanovski went from the number 2 guy to the number 1 guy, and now either way. So listen, I think that that's a pretty apt breakdown from a betting perspective of Makhachev versus Poirier. I don't see value enough, and let's round this conversation out. I don't see value enough to bet on Islam Makhachev on a money line or to bet on him for a submission prop. Are there any other props that you like on either side of the coin that you would like to highlight?
Ooh, man, I could see a decision of all of those happening just off of control, right? Islam isn't able to finish Dustin. He isn't able to get this fight how he wants it to go. I don't feel comfortable betting it. To be honest, like if you're looking at this one strictly props or money line, it's a stay away from me. But I mean, that's a likely outcome I can see happening. Derek, what about you?
We're smashing that over 2.5 rounds, baby. Let's go. The more that I hear it, the more that I'm just like, yo, you know what? If there's anything that I'm willing to take a shot on, that's the one that I'm willing to take a shot on over 2.5 rounds. Maybe Poirier holds out a little bit longer than we think. I just have a feeling here, man, and this is going to be sad to say because I'm a big Dustin Poirier fan, right? But I also like money, and I like being right, and I like having the win streak here. I think Islam Makhachev dominates him. I think that if he gets him to the ground, he mauls him, and if Dustin can last over 2.5, we're really excited. But the reason that the under is currently priced at minus 165 is probably for good reason right there. Let's also mention that aside from the Volkanovski fight, Islam hasn't gone 5 rounds like in the last 10 fights right there. And he's had some like championship fights as of late. Not a lot, right? But it's just a good point to note. First round through 3rd round is really the primary bet that we're looking at. All right, with that being said, that's your championship fight right there. We're going and still Islam Makhachev. If you're betting with your friends for no money, submission all day. If you're betting with your wallet, your pocketbook, we're betting that over 2.5 rounds. All right.